recording. There's no way of testing this, right?
No, it's recording, so the lights are like moving all over the place now.
All right, action.
Very well. Welcome to the April 16th, 2018 meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
I feel like I should double check it.
I believe we're recording.
Yes, we are.
Okay. That being the
Do I get
case,
an attaboy on that?
Yes, you do, attaboy, because I was thinking all of a sudden, if I don't check this and we're not quite sure,
I
Charlotte's
know,
gonna have me
right.
by the neck.
so with that, if we could have a call to the roll starting to my right.
Vaughn Morgan,
Justin Duraki.
Paul Sanderson.
Jim Ralston.
Chip Hussey.
First issue is approval of the minutes of Monday, April 2nd, 2018. Do I have a motion?
I have a motion to accept the minutes of April 2nd.
Second.
Motion moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so approved. Next is Coakley update. Karen?
Okay, what I have is just that the annual report for Coakley landfill has been completed and filed for 2017 with the EPA and NHDS. Copies are available on the DES website. But what's interesting to look at with this report is it shows all of the wells that have been tested and the corresponding results with the history of the wells. So, I mean, it shows some wells improved, some wells didn't. It's you have to really be a statistic person to see a lot of it, but it was interesting for me to go through those. Jillian Lane is headed out on Thursday to Washington to speak on behalf of PFOA and PFOS things. And I received a call today actually from Senator Shaheen's office looking for Jillian's phone call because they wanted to get in touch with her before she arrived.
Okay.
I would ask the board to tell Jillian Lane, keep up the good work, and, you know, I'm sure she'll do well.
Yeah, certainly the articles in the paper about her situation are pretty compelling. The only other thing I have to add is the Coakley Landfill Group applied with the EPA for their fish testing protocol, and the protocol was not approved.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, they're going to have to make some modifications.
Right, yeah, and they brought that out at the meeting at Bethany Church, that they had presented their proposal, and the EPA said it fell short of what they were requiring, and so the parties were going to continue to work together to get where they wanted to.
Okay. And hopefully that happens because the emergency catch and release order will expire in September.
Right. Right, and there were a lot of questions at the presentation about the fish and the catch and release order, with a lot of them not totally understanding the process, because a lot of the concerns were, why are you going to put fish in the poison water? And if they're going to go in and get caught within 30 days, they're not going to tell you anything, and that kind of concern. But I think it was pretty much explained how that each of the fish being put in are already in now, have a clipped fin, so they'll easily be identified. And then come June, when they actually catch fish for the testing, they will test a clipped fish and an unclipped fish at different locations so they can see if there's any bioaccumulation.
That's right. There is a similar one of these QAPPs that's out in Michigan that we have seen, and if anyone wants a copy of that, I can give it to you. The long and the short is that essentially it'll cost $4,000 a fish. It's very, very, very expensive. But that being the case, okay.
I have 2 goldfish I'm willing to donate for nothing.
No!
I'm kidding.
You're 40 years old. I don't know how old they are, but they're like,
You're 20.
yeah.
Yeah. All
And
right.
one looks dead, but
Okay, moving on to the Willowbrook Avenue reconstruction.
yeah. What I put together for you is copies of the bids, the award notice, and where we have funding available. The warrant article in 2013 that was approved for road reconstruction was $300,000. 45,000 of that has been spent on engineering for Willowbrook and Great Bay Drive West, leaving $254,860. The Willowbrook construction costs at the low bid was $283,940. If the box culvert is required, which we should be hearing within 2 weeks now, that will add $79,500 to the project, and the engineering services and on-site construction services will be $35,002. So worst case scenario, the funding needed for Willowbrook is $144,000. The road improvement capital reserve fund, which is the transportation one that gets $2.50 per registration, has just under $70,000. The general road maintenance capital reserve fund has $381,000. The 2018 operating budget $200,000, and the highway safety block grant, which I recommend that we use that up anyway, the $12,379.30. That's the balance from the extra $80,000 we got from DOT last year to use for cost overruns, things that weren't planned.
Question. At a recent meeting, it was presented that our town attorney was going to speak with the brackets again. What's happened with that?
A little off topic, but that's okay. I talked with
Because it mentions Great
Sure,
Bay
yeah,
Drive West.
no problem. I talked to Attorney Laughlin. He has redrafted the agreement, not calling it a memorandum of understanding, for the brackets with the taking out the concerns that the board had of any statement saying this road is built to town standards, we're never going to have to do anything. Changing the description of, Mr. Brackett had requested 3 paved driveways, which is a concern because he chooses the location. That could work against the planning board at any time of a subdivision. Changing that to one graveled access to his land. Because they do expect that there'll be like a 12-inch difference between the pavement and his land. So that we agree to gravel an access in, but not calling it a driveway. Agreeing to remove the trees that are diseased within the right-of-way and up to 8 feet beyond the right-of-way as far as visual. Mr. Brackett had requested any of the diseased trees be looked at and removed without any limit of how far back. As far as I know, that Attorney Laughlin had made those changes, sent me back the draft to say, yep, this looks much better, sent it back to him. So it's probably been mailed to the Brackets at this point.
Okay.
Or he may have even called them. He has a good rapport with them.
Okay.
And that was, I think, Wednesday.
Okay. Discussion about this cost overrun of $144,000 potentially.
I agree with Karen. I think probably taking that $12,379 out of the highway safety block grant, and my suggestion would probably be to take the balance out of the general road maintenance fund, and that would cover. You'd leave enough there to even cover Great Bay Drive West, which leaves us about $7,000 left. Even though I think we've got a little breathing room with Great Bay Drive West too, because of engineering.
Yep, the engineering isn't complete on that. The wetlands permits haven't been applied for in that. The delay, I mean, we're a little bit behind schedule now. Willowbrook is going to start this week with some tree work, but we fell behind because 2 of the easements that we had gotten from property owners for temporary construction easements around the culvert, the property owners moved.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to start that process again and get them with the new property owners.
The only question, the only X in this whole thing is, I think we need a price on the Portsmouth Avenue and Ann's Lane project. we can get a price on that.
Right, and I don't have those as yet. I've asked Mr. Hayden to let me know what he wants bid out, and then we'll have prices on those.
Okay. That would be, that's just my idea.
Other comment? I'll make the comment. I'm not at all intending to approve this. I intend to vote no. Because this funding, because of the box culvert issue.
Oh, that was coming up.
Yeah, it's here. To me, this box culvert is completely unnecessary. We had a permit that went in under the signature of our engineers suggesting that a 4-foot culvert was sufficient. And the only thing that has pushed this towards a box culvert is a letter from the Conservation Commission. Okay? And that's unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable. No. Not
It's
gonna
my
do it.
understanding that we don't have a say in that.
We absolutely have a say.
We do have a say in it.
This is permitting in front of DES.
Okay,
They're taking input from the Conservation Commission, but we do not have to accept that.
okay. I was under the understanding that we didn't.
No.
Whatever the deed.
I was too.
If we get the wetlands permit in requiring it, we can then appeal and ask to have it changed.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I agree with you. That box culvert is $100 and some odd thousand.
I guess I'm gonna be the bad guy, because I'm disagreeing with all of you.
I understand. And
And the box culvert was something that was brought up years ago. It actually is in multiple scientific reports on storm drainage, that should be changed once that culvert was replaced to a box culvert, so it would allow animals to travel between Willowbrook and on the west side and the east side.
Thompson Brook and,
What documentation do we have at that location that suggested a box culvert? That's what I thought.
No, there is, Paul. You don't have to be rude. There is.
Well, I'll tell you my problem, okay? We have our professional engineer who comes in and makes a permit application on behalf of the town. Subsequently, we have our own Conservation Commission, not discussing it with us in any way, not coming back to the board saying, I don't like your application, not coming back to the board and suggesting anything, not going to the budget committee as far as I know.
That's actually an incorrect statement, because I was at one meeting here when the application, before it was presented to the Wetlands Board, and said, we have a problem with this. We wanted to see a box culvert, and when that culvert was replaced.
And I do remember that.
That goes
Just
back,
so you know, I do
that actually
remember
goes
that.
back years before we even considered replacing that.
But still,
And number two is, the box culvert will stand up much longer than the year-round culvert. It's a much better design for standing up.
well, that's because it's a bridge. A box culvert is essentially a bridge.
Yep.
So that's why
It's
it costs so
almost-
much more.
Almost half as long. I think, what is it, a culvert 50 years, and they're selling 75 for a box.
I
All right, just
guarantee
for the record, what is the difference in price between a box culvert and a regular culvert?
Oh, you got it right here.
79,500.
All right, 79, no, what's the difference is 79,500?
Yeah, that's the price.
Okay, all right.
requiring both material and extra services.
What animals are we concerned with that are crossing? What are they doing now?
It's, the science is.
They are doing nothing
ingredients.
right now. They aren't using the culvert to cross. It's the science is
Well, they cross the road instead of them?
usually, yeah.
Okay.
Well, except
And it's easier for them to get through the box culvert, and the box culverts provide more light.
Your amphibians and stuff like that, will find it
Yeah,
much easier to
amphibians,
do
frogs,
that.
turtles.
that's absolutely true if you had a perched culvert, but we don't have a perched culvert.
It still works better, and it's still acting as a, look, I wish I could remember the name of the report, and I probably couldn't find it at home if I tried, but there was actually the report that was done, at a couple of our meetings, but I remember seeing the guy. They did actually the whole Winnicott River watershed between Stratham, Northampton, and Greenland. And they were very adamant that that was stopping animals from crossing. Even Fish and Game said that that is actually factual.
Well, if we had any documentation, that would be one thing, but we don't have any documentation that any
Well,
of
I
this.
didn't know you wanted documentation the first time I heard you having a fit about the box.
Well,
It's been 3 months, Paul.
I'm having a fit because we're taking a $250,000 project, making it a $400,000 project. I'm having a fit. I am absolutely having a fit.
But you can't tell the private person that they gotta be environmentally sound when we don't.
Okay.
What's good for the goose is good for the
I
gander.
understand, but I don't understand why you thought that your opinion was better than that of our professional engineer.
Because the professional engineer never talked to us about it. He was just going by the dynamics of water flow.
You also didn't have any NHB hits.
So I will
I
be
mean,
happy to
that-
provide that the next meeting. I'll find that documentation, just gotta go through the old minutes and find the name of the report.
Well,
I'm sure that's in the, that's in
several
the,
years ago versus today is an entirely different situation. This is a $150,000 overrun that really impacts the remainder of our program. And so
well, actually,
I
the
can
box
tell you
culvert's
that-
only 79,000.
I can tell you, well, overall here, the extra engineering is because of the box culvert. A 4-foot round culvert isn't gonna take another $35,000 in engineering, costing us up to $80,000 in engineering alone. So.
That's the way it just should have been done initially, should have
Well,
come
I'm
right to us.
sorry, Chip, but I'm pitching a fit.
Well, I'll get you that next meeting, though.
Okay.
It's probably in
Except-
one stop, to be honest with you.
If you find something in DES like that, that's fine. But here we had an assertion from our professional engineer that this 4-foot culvert met the stream crossing rule.
But we did, actually, it doesn't.
It does or it doesn't. Our engineer said it. So I need to
We
know.
talked to the engineer with the Conservation Commission before we made our decision, and he basically said, no, this will not permit wildlife to travel through it. It's not
No,
designed for
those are
that.
two different questions. I understand. There's no question that a box culvert will permit greater transmissivity of all sorts of things. But the question is whether or not it is required to meet the letter of the stream crossing rules, given the flows that are in that situation.
Well, it's more than just the flows that they look at. for
I
stream
understand
crossing.
that. Yes,
So
I do.
that's, and I will tell you, DES much rather see box culverts than regular culverts. So I'm actually
There's a big
surprised.
difference between much rather see and comply with the rules, especially on a municipal project that with this kind of cost overrun. This is not a $20,000 issue. This is $150,000.
Well, I'll get you that report for next meeting.
Yeah, and I agree, the cost has got to justify the means, and I, that being said, I don't think the cost justifies what needs to be done. But I'd be willing to listen to it.
Okay, we'll get that for you, because
Okay,
When does this have to be voted on?
not tonight.
Okay.
Right. Do we tell Lyman not to move forward at all, or do we go ahead and start with the tree work?
anyway.
Well,
They're planning on starting tomorrow, so.
Of just, I mean, we've got a substantial amount still left in the warrant article. But this is for, what's the schedule is in here?
I think you did give that to us about the number of
Yeah, it's in
days.
here. Mobilization, clearing the trees through April 25th, the erosion control, saw cut, reclaim. So the drainage, which would be is in curb and guardrail, prep and paved drives, common excavation. I think that the common embankment with the drainage, that's all going to be around May 8th to 10th.
Except 5 days for drainage. It's not going to take them that long to do the swales. This would appear to be around May 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what do we have?
And that's only if we have the permit in hand anyway.
Exactly. Okay.
What is reclaim?
That's when they're going to grind up the pavement.
Okay.
And they just then
They sell
reuse
it back
it.
to us.
And in that location, there's probably never been a base. And so they'll be actually constructing the road in that circumstance. But that's not the removal of the culvert and the guardrail that's there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that curb and guardrail looks at like May 17th.
Yeah, and that's when the job's done. You know, installing curb and guardrail.
Yeah, and the paving, the 25th.
All right, so where are we on this thing?
Yeah. Has there been a pre-construction?
The pre-construction is Thursday at 1. It's this week.
Okay. Well, I think it's important to tell them, you know, what our discussions have been, and that we do not have a permit in hand.
Right, and Underwood will be here, and I've let Paul know as well on the schedule. Let's see.
And we need a price on the Portsmouth Ave and Ann's Lane projects too.
Was that culvert underneath that going bad?
I have to put those out to bid if that's the projects he wants me to do.
Well, again, and we have to talk about that, because, I mean, we do have our reports,
Right, and that's where he got them from.
and we seem to be going out of order. Tuttle Lane was not out of order.
Tuttle Lane was next, but we had the funds available through that special funding. So the board voted to let's move Tuttle Lane up because we had that
Okay.
money available.
Just from what I could see on my report, it seemed to be out of order. But are Portsmouth Avenue and Ann's Lane next in order?
Mhm.
Okay. And what are our estimates there?
I don't have any estimates. at
From
this
the
point.
report you do.
Oh, from the reports, but they're way, way high.
High?
Yes.
In what way?
The report's cost estimates are much higher than what bid results were coming in at.
I
Particularly
think we-
with the crack ceiling, I think they have it at $2 a foot, and we got bids at like 53 cents a foot.
Right, yeah. And that's the way John McDevitt set this whole thing up in the
Right, he
beginning.
said, do
And
it
he
like
said,
10
I'd much
year.
rather go over than under, because it's a lot easier to come down than just to go back up, to go up, so.
So just in round figures, what does the report allocate to those functions?
The 200,000 would have covered Portsmouth Ave, Tuttle, and Ann's.
Okay.
But we were able to move Tuttle up with that DOT money.
And that was about 75.
Right.
Right, 72.
Okay.
So we got like 84, that's why we have 12 left, because it even came in under the bid price.
Okay. I can tell you that in this last week, I did meet with Paul on.
Oh, good, okay.
What I can tell you, just the results of that, first of all, delineators right now are way on back order because everyone lost them all this winter.
Okay.
And so that project will take a little while longer. We decided that we should be coming forward and doing pavement markings this year, stop bars and the edge of things.
Yep.
So,
Yep, we do those every other year.
yeah, and he's in the process of putting together the linear feet
Okay,
to be able to get that out so that can be bid.
okay.
And then we were just going to be talking based upon whatever happens here. Okay, because I really would hate to see $150,000 going into this that doesn't need to go into this, when we have so much else to do.
I agree, yeah.
And so I'll be continuing to work with him to get better information as to what we think are the next projects to do.
Okay, because then as soon as he tells me, I can do the bids.
Yes, we'll get that. Okay, so we will table this question pending information from DES on permitting.
Okay.
So mine carries on tomorrow as.
Well,
Right, do we
I would
cancel
think-
the question,
I think tree removal needs to be done,
I do too, I'm just.
even if we stop the project right there, that needs to be done.
Yeah, Karen,
Right.
she brought up the question, I didn't know if. it-
Right, do I notify Lyman to
Right.
stop work already?
I would say no, keep going.
Yeah, because,
I mean, even if it just comes to an overlay at the end.
No, that makes sense, yeah.
okay, I think that's
You get to the
consensus.
pipe stuff.
Yeah.
None of the tree works in wetlands, are they?
No, but it's all within the right of way, and it's not a lot, but there's one very large one that is across from, I want to say 20 Willowbrook. And it's a rental, and the owners live in North Carolina, but it's within the right of way, and they're removing that very large one and replacing it with 4 more appropriate smaller ones. So the property doesn't lose its buffer, but it doesn't have the big draping over the top of the road.
And I imagine they're gonna find a pretty extensive root system problem.
Probably.
Okay, so Willowbrook will, the gift that keeps on giving, okay. Next, Van Etten Drive correspondence.
Yeah, this is very similar to the letter the board received in the fall regarding work that still needed to be completed on Van Etten Drive. The board voted to reduce the bond from $30,000 to $5,000, and the developer told the board that he would take care of those things, and to date they have not been taken care of.
Okay. Well, I don't know what folks would like to do, whether we'd like to discuss some of these things.
I believe that at a previous meeting, Mr. Thibodeau agreed to take care of, I think, the 7 bullet issues that they mentioned in the letter. And that's what I remember him saying. And if he hasn't done that, I think it'd probably be a good idea to send a letter to him and ask him to address those bullet points.
I know the paving, he hasn't been able to do. The hot top plants, I think, are opening May 1st.
Right, and that was just to do like a
Yeah.
curbing type thing at the property where they have the water.
I mean, it's not like it's a lot of work, it's probably a day's worth of work, but he needs to address that because he said he would.
Yes.
And I think, we should, kind of control that, make sure we get a letter out to him saying that.
Do you want to give them a date certain to be completed?
As soon as possible,
Yeah.
reasonably possible.
We have the first 7 things, which are removal of things.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the exception of the fact that there's a broken tree. Okay, now, that broken tree,
Yeah.
a real widowmaker.
Yep.
I don't know if that's his responsibility at all. Just because it has nothing to do with the right-of-way. This is way beyond the right-of-way.
Right.
And, I guess if he volunteers to do it, fine.
Right.
But I don't know as we could compel him to do anything.
Right, I think the key would be, at what point did the tree break versus when that land was turned over to the association?
Yeah, and I don't know that fact.
Which tree?
When you, right in the front, like if you look
Yeah,
out
little
yours
pines.
and you look towards 33,
Yeah.
the one that's like, it's a very large limb that broke off and it's hung up in that tree buffer.
I don't know where that happened. Okay.
So that's the only one that I would question there.
Okay.
And it's a question, not.
Yeah.
And I believe that for addressing the 2 remaining paragraphs in the letter, I don't believe this issue is relative to the board's purview. I think this is something that should be hashed out between the association and the developer.
Although we certainly did withhold $5,000 having to do with that driveway and drainage.
Yes, we did, yeah.
Today would be kind of an acid test, now wouldn't it?
Sure would.
And I would expect that if the drainage is failing today, then we'll hear about it very soon, that the drainage has failed and how it has failed.
Mhm.
And today would be a great day to document where water's actually going.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that suggestion, that within the next 24 hours, if we can see what the heck happened there, with a very large rain event, we'd have some better idea of what is required.
Okay, so we go up and talk to the resident and say, check your basement out?
Well, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if the resident will come in with a complete video.
And I can drive by and take a picture to see, because there would be erosion.
I thought the developers had got a plan or an approval
They did.
or something
They
already
Like
to
a
to
berm.
build, so.
Yep, like a curbing type thing.
So regardless of what the water looks like, wouldn't that still stand?
Well, it could, so,
I mean,
except
if you
now,
build that tomorrow, then we should be all set, regardless of what we would find today about water, right?
we should be, if in fact that plan will deal with this type of an event. Today, the type of event we have today is what the homeowner is trying to protect against.
Right, exactly.
Well,
Right, but I mean, it was already approved, so it's,
I mean, how far do we let these things go? I mean, this is an unusual amount of rain. I mean, if my back door leaks for the first time
yes.
today, so do I go back after the builder that they did a shoddy job, or?
Well, this is what I'm saying. I think this jumps out of our purview. I don't think the Board of Selectmen are responsible. I think that's an issue that needs to be hashed out between
Buyer and the seller.
the association and the developer. That's my thought.
Well, we'd like to get that done before we release the bond. And my only suggestion here was today is the day to find out what could go wrong.
But why, I guess my question is, why do we hold back in releasing, if he does everything else, why do we hold back releasing the bond? Why do we get into something that's civil, that has nothing to do with the Board of Selectmen?
Because we own that road and we own it in perpetuity. And we're trying to make sure, before the developer finally leaves, that he has done everything that he's supposed to do from an engineering perspective to
Okay,
prevent us from having an ongoing problem. If
okay,
we release that bond, then we as the town own the problem.
okay, I see what you're saying, okay.
I don't wanna release the bond until everything's done, especially the berm, but I thought the berm was proposed and accepted when we were talking, when it came down from 30 to 5,000. So I think we already, our responsibility has been met.
Well, we had an engineering estimate.
Right.
Whether it's going to be this high or this high, I don't know. And
Okay.
I'm just waiting to
Okay,
see.
I understood it, that it was all set to be built.
Okay, but not being built. Now is when we learn, this is what engineers need to go out and see. This is what really happens.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, I understand that, but
Right, and this particular house and driveway were existing prior to the subdivision.
if we built it at 6 inches already, it would have been done and off the books, so that's my point.
Yes.
Okay, they haven't asked us to release this yet anyway, so,
No.
I'm
Right,
sure,
so
as Paul says-
I'll send a letter to the developer asking him to get the work done as soon as he can. You don't want to give him a deadline.
Has any of it been done? Has he removed the sign? I mean,
No, none of
None
it.
of it's been done,
Yeah.
that I can see.
That's kind of ridiculous.
What
to
would
me.
happen if you put a timeline on it and he didn't comply, then what?
Well, I mean, potentially, you know, we would hold
We
on to
use
that
the
bond.
bond and do it
Keep
ourselves.
holding the bond.
Right, oh, we use the bond and do it ourselves.
Okay,
And I would expect that any time now, these trash items and other temporary things could be removed.
I would think so.
They should have been done
I
already.
don't see why not, but.
Yeah.
I didn't want to release, lower the bond that much in the first place.
You know, if you want to put not later than, I think it says 30 days, it's a long time, but, I don't know.
I think 30 days
Give
is
us
good,
some-
when 30 days comes, then what? If it's not done in 30 days,
Right, so, I
it's
mean,
the same
we're,
punishment, I mean, there's no,
Right.
okay, you cross this line, no, okay, you cross this line.
All right, May 15th.
Okay.
That's my junk.
Okay. Yes.
Dennis Moore, what is the recourse after May 15th if there's nothing?
At that point, we'd have to give the developer a hearing and indicate to him that in the event things are not done within, we'll be using the money in the bond to accomplish the work.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, we've resolved that issue. Any other item of old business?
A couple of things.
Okay.
Has Grassfield Field Building RFP been completed yet?
no, I haven't gotten measurements on what needs to be done on
I
that.
was trying to get that out as soon as the quote was made. I think our biggest fear is making sure people have time to do it with the building boom that's going on right now.
Right, I think part of the concern, part of the hiccup happened this past week that the Recreation Commission told property maintenance that they have to have that scoreboard, and they want a substantial enough building. So we reduced the value of what we put in the warrant article just for a small utility closet type thing to house the electrical services with the intent of moving everything to the other shed.
I'm going to make a request. I would like to have us as a board schedule a meeting with the rec committee so that we can sit down as a group and talk these things out.
Sounds good.
Okay, and so if you can get back to them and we can try to reach a mutually acceptable date so we can sit down and talk some of these things out. And
Right, or I can have Charlotte coordinate that.
fine, great. Maybe on and off Monday night or something, whatever works, so that we can get some clarity on, I know there are some outstanding maintenance issues that are continuing.
Yes.
And I'm a little concerned that we don't see any of their minutes, we don't see any of their agendas.
Okay, I can see that they get forwarded to the board. They are sent to the town
Right.
clerk.
Okay, but I mean on our website, so that, no.
No, they're not there? Okay.
I was looking because I knew that there were some of these questions on things,
Yeah,
and it would be very helpful to be able to see their minutes.
okay.
So if we could move towards getting that done,
Mhm.
and then try to schedule out some of these major maintenance objectives so that we can accomplish it with the resources we have.
While we're talking recreation, the pickleball lines are in.
I saw it, great, thank you.
The nets will go up this week when the rain stops. If the rain stops, we put it on, we put the notice that the courts would be opening and they would have pickleball lines. We got a notice in from Facebook that it was our highest viewed post, shared the most times, and has reached like 1,700 people. So it has gone around the seacoast that people
Well,
want to set leagues up there, like, yeah.
I guess we're doing something right then.
Oh, my goodness, it was like, when I got the thing from Facebook, you have a high-performing post, you've earned $15 in booster money or something, I'm like, what?
Okay, good, good,
Yeah, it's our biggest post ever.
okay. Great,
Next thing, cannons in the park. I cannot get a straight answer out of the Navy Yard which sealant they used. They don't remember.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
I can't get a straight answer out of the Navy Yard which sealant they use, but they all pretty much agree that the cannons gotta be sanded down to bare wood, and my recommendation would be to use an oil-based paint to.
okay, these are the cannons in Remembrance Park. I didn't
The
get
wooden
those.
bases,
Yeah.
Yeah,
The carriages,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, okay.
the cannons themselves, it stuck well, but, so, that's the plan, I just gotta figure out how to get it done.
Okay. All right, and is that something that you're expecting property maintenance to do, or are we gonna try to find another solution?
We may have to find another solution, because if we're gonna try to get it done before Memorial Day.
Okay.
And if not, then yeah, he can pull them into the shop and do them throughout the winter. It's gonna be a very
I'm sure you
tedious
can paint it,
process.
but if the basic original finish failed, don't we have to strip it down and start over?
I would say so.
We're gonna have to
Yeah.
strip it down, sand it down. They said, everybody I talked to said, sand it down, get it back to the wood, because you can see the sealant is lifting off. The
Right,
paint
'cause
stuck
they're
to the
peeling.
sealant, but the sealant didn't stick to the wood.
Okay, and so is there, even if we brought it into the shop to do it, is there a way to get some volunteer help to get some of that work done?
Don't know. I know I just thought this week came to the conclusion that we're gonna have to just work and hopefully it sticks.
You know, Chip, I'll work with you on this, because I know a lot of painters. So let me, I'll work with you on it.
Yeah, the big time-consuming thing is actually gonna be removing, because you gotta take the
Right.
wheels off, the cannon's gotta come off.
Mhm.
It's just very time-consuming, and the cannon, take a couple of people that can actually lift that much weight.
Well, I assume you probably need the backhoe over there to do that, right?
No, I think a couple of people will probably be able to lift it off.
Yeah, I would
You
think
take
2
them
people
apart.
could lift the can.
What you're gonna do is just take them apart, lift them, set them on a blanket out of the way.
Okay. And then
I'll work with you.
And then if they got into the shop over there as a place where you could do that type
Yeah,
of dirty work.
exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But just some volunteer help to do it.
Yeah.
Because that would take him a couple of straight days, right?
Well, I don't know if it's gonna be it's pretty hard to get volunteers today, I can tell you.
Oh,
But, you know, I'll talk to a couple of painters and see, we'll give them good advertising if they do it. So I'll talk to a couple of painters that I work with and see if they're willing to.
So the biggest thing is gonna be stripping the sealant off. That's gonna be the biggest time, because painting it, probably half day. Actually, be a whole day, because you can put one coat on with an oil-based paint, it will suck right in.
All right.
The other thing I got is, Didn't know that a tree split up behind Veterans Park. I contacted Langs, they're gonna go up and take a look at it, see what would be the best thing, eliminate it, replant something, not replant something. They'll take a look at that and see.
Is this a new planting?
No, this is an old one. This is, that maple stuff that's all rotten in the middle. So, and last but not least, I did meet with the school board this evening, and they're taking under advisement of closing the school for voting.
And I was gonna bring up under other new business, a resident, Mrs. Tally Westerberg of Holly Lane asked me to extend her appreciation to you and the board in the efforts to try to get the school closed during that time. So she's behind that. She has a lot of oomph in the school system, so.
Yeah, as far as I know, I don't think that House Bill 483 has been resolved yet. I don't think so. This is the one giving the Secretary of State for various
Yeah,
powers.
so I think there's just, the amendment is now pending.
I haven't.
Yeah, because one of the things we may need to consider if that passes is moving to a May meeting.
A May meeting?
Yes.
Then you're not gonna ever worry about snow on voting day.
And that's the reason.
What happened?
Hey, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
No, we just have to budget to.
Right.
Right, because a May meeting works really well if you're a fiscal year. A May meeting is difficult staying on a budget of a calendar year, because you're spending almost full 6 months
Right.
before you have a budget.
Absolutely right.
So that's, they generally will go hand in hand with changing your fiscal year at the same time.
And so we may need to study that based upon how that comes out.
Is that coming through municipal and county government?
Yes. The other alternative is give the keys to the Secretary of State at your election. Probably not the most helpful suggestion. Okay, and I would thank you, Chip, for being proactive on Veterans Park before Wally got here.
I was looking at the cannons, I looked up and I said, I gotta do something about that.
Charlotte, strike that.
Yeah.
You can leave it at just thank you for being proactive at Veterans Park. Okay, Town Administrator's bi-weekly report review.
What I outlined in it is the request for proposals that are already out and done, that I'm waiting for results to come back in, is the replacement of the fire department roof, screened loan for the season, and replacement of the building trim on the town office. I had Mr. Hayden review them all and approve them before they were sent out. This week, I wrote next week, this week I'll be working on the RFP for the design, planning for the new fire station, the replacement shed at Crasco Field as soon as I get that measurement, and the replacement of the shed at the transfer station. I try to break up the RFPs that are out there so that we don't have 8 going out the same week, 8 coming due a month later all at the same time, and it's just, it works well for time management to 3 a week till we get everything rocking.
Okay. Given the resources that we have here, one of the things we might want to think about the RFP, about the fire station, is if that building goes away and this building is no longer used for fire, where are we going to house public works function, both winter and summer?
In the old fire station.
Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
And so,
But that hasn't been determined at that point. But that would be the plan, is at least temporarily,
yes.
that they would share some space in the garage. And then, once fire could move into their new building,
Yeah.
he would have all 3 bays for the time being.
And that's okay. What I'm thinking, though, is it may be an opportunity to take a very quick look up at the transfer station to see what, if anything, could be put up there. As I understand it, the biggest problem is limitation of electrical service.
Mhm.
And so if we're having people here doing that type of design review, this is an opportunity to see if they can look at that issue, just that issue.
Right.
And the reason I think it's a good use of resources too is we know we're going to replace compactors. And so the question of electrical service for those is also an issue. And so having an electrical review, I think, would be a good idea.
Right, yeah, because the electrical services there are strong, but they're limited to that one side. There's nothing outside of that little strip of compactors and buildings.
Yeah.
Because the other space that we have adjacent to the transfer station would be that area in the back of Crasco Field parking lot.
Mm-hmm. And certainly that's where the road is coming out, and
Yeah.
you're saying, yeah, possible also. But the question would be, once again, trying to find out how can they get enough electrical service. And so I'm not trying to have them redesign the transfer station. I don't mean that. I just, while they're looking at electrical requirements, if they can look at what's there, that would be very helpful.
Yeah,
Right.
take it into consideration.
Yeah,
That makes
because
sense.
I think Maldini brought it from that one side over, there's an above ground, no, he did it underground in the conduit, the high voltage, the 220 for the recycling compactor to the center.
Okay.
And then the light poles
Mm-hmm.
are lit, but that's all.
And the reason that I'm thinking of that is, obviously, the winter maintenance trucks and everything, they have the potential for hazardous waste and the rest. We already know that's a pretty contaminated site. Why dirty up anything else?
Right.
Just a thought.
Mhm.
And if we can just get that segment of.
Right, I can work with the property maintenance supervisor to see what is the minimum size building he would need.
Yes. Yep.
Because it's a restricted site. The state sent out their proposed road surfacing for 2018. So in Greenland, Great Bay Road, from the intersection of 33 to the intersection of Bayside Road. And then again, the extra section till it ends state maintenance. And then they're going to pave up to Bayside, stop a section, then continue to do the two railway crossings and the ramps at Great Bay Bayside Road intersection.
Mhm.
There's one small section that's the town responsibility.
Mhm.
Comcast has notified effective May 9th that a lot of channels that are currently available on Basic will be moved to expanded Basic, including things like the Weather Channel and the Food Network, which a lot of people really watch. So the board could expect to get potentially some complaints from residents on the cable service. The state has signed the special permit for mosquito control for 18. Larviciding is going to continue to be done. As far as the adulticiding, there has to be a known emergency now to allow any adulticiding. The graded exercise for the nuclear plant went very well. Tim Collins and Bill McLaughlin did a wonderful job keeping everybody on task with the NRC representatives from DC here, and there were no significant findings, complaints. Every question that was asked, people knew the answer. So I think it went very well. And then I already updated on the Coakley meeting.
Okay. Any questions on the report? None appearing. Moving on to committee and commission appointments.
Okay, the Conservation Commission has two people that are now expired, Bill Bilodeau and Chip Huzzy. Mr. Bilodeau has requested to be reappointed for a 3-year term, and we have not technically heard from Mr. Huzzy to be reappointed. But if so, we'd recommend a 2-year term so that then we'd have a better staggering of terms.
Can we just go through for a minute what our warrant articles said when we created our Conservation Commission, how many members it should have?
Five.
Okay, so we need to find a fifth person, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Who are we missing?
Just for the record, if you don't find a fifth person, then the commission stays as is, right?
Yes, it's just that
You
with
just
four
keep
people,
trying.
with
Yeah.
4 people, you can technically get tie votes and things like that.
Mhm.
I mean, it still has quorum to work.
Right.
That's why the odd number.
Has
So
anyone,
Jim,
What?
what say you?
Oh, I have no problem. I was gonna send it out, but I don't even wanna talk about that day.
One of those, huh?
has anybody expressed any interest in coming on board the Conservation Commission?
Not lately, no.
Is that something that should go up on
Yep,
Facebook?
yep,
or something?
absolutely. That's how we got Sarah Rowe.
I'll make a motion to appoint Bill Bilodeau to the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term ending in 2021.
And
They're
Do you
separate.
want to do it individually or all together?
Keep reading, yeah, keep going.
I'll make a motion to appoint Chip Huzzy to the Conservation Commission for a 2-year term ending in 2020. Make a motion to appoint Ken
Get
Avery.
into recreation.
Huh?
Okay,
You want me to keep going or not?
Why don't we just finish conservation?
yeah.
All right.
I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, now on Recreation Commission, we have 2 expiring, Steve Sargent and Ken Avery. We have the letter from Ken Avery requesting to be reappointed for a 3-year term. We have not gotten anything in from Mr. Sargent as yet. He's very active, so I would
Yeah,
expect.
he's active. I did send him an email. I haven't heard back from him either.
Okay.
How many people are supposed to be on that committee?
That's 5 too, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
6 names right there now.
6.
Yeah, I don't think there's a limitation.
No, there is a limitation. I want to
There
say
is?
7, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think that Erica Ron has not, she just recently resigned and she hasn't been replaced as yet.
So perhaps we should put something out there to see
Yep.
if anybody's interested.
No, that's a 7-person.
Okay, with that understanding, is there a motion with regard to Mr. Avery?
I move to appoint Ken Avery to the rec committee for a 3-year term ending in 2021.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
If you want to do Steve Sargent,
He hasn't applied.
right.
Probably should wait. Don't
Okay.
want to speak for him.
And they need to be sworn in?
Yes.
Okay.
No,
No, they're not elected.
no, and I was told they're returning members. New members have to come in front of the board, of the select board, but returning members would not.
Right, but they do need to be re-sworn in. She does swear in all the volunteer committees.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's-
Speaking of the swearing in and such, and coming before the board, I missed one meeting. Did the new treasurer ever come in and get introduced?
No.
I mean, we made a big stink about somebody else, so shouldn't we?
I think it would be a good idea just so we can meet that person and have a discussion and answer any questions.
Okay, well, we can invite Mark in.
Anybody else in the weeds that we need to parade themselves in front of us for the blessing?
Have you met the police secretary?
No.
I
No,
did.
we haven't.
Well, I went over
Okay.
and met her, but it wasn't anybody else.
I don't know, I think you've met the new police
Yes.
man. I think that's all. We don't have anyone hiding in any closets here.
Okay.
And Mark's deputy is Sharon Huzzy,
Okay.
who was a former deputy, so that worked well.
Okay, I think that deals with all of our appointments for the evening. Next is an issue of an abatement at 28 Osprey Cove.
Yeah, this is an abatement for the 2017
Just before we
assessment.
start.
Oh,
this is my next door neighbor. And so therefore, I completely recuse myself from all this discussion.
Okay. This is requested by the homeowner. The house had been on the market for over $2 million for a few years now, and has not sold. It's just been recently put back on the market at 1.29. We've had it assessed for 1.7 for several years. Our assessor was able to go in and inspect the property last week. And from the outside, it's in very good condition and is a beautiful property on an ideal lot with the square footage on Great Bay, and the land assessment does reflect that. The interior has not been updated in many years. It doesn't have the granite and, nice woods. It still has Formica. It has all the appliances and things that have not been updated since at least the 90s is what he was guessing. So anyone coming in looking at buying a house of the $1.3 million value will be looking to put in to upgrade the fixtures and things. The assessor has recommended an abatement, reducing the value from 1.6998, $1.7 million to 1.278. Which would be abating $421,000 of the value. It is on the market right now. If the board chooses not to, then the
And the assessor recommends this abatement?
yes, he recommended it. If the board chooses not to and chooses to deny it, the owner has the ability to go to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals and ask for that review.
I think the fact that it's been on the market for as many years as it has and hasn't sold, and considering what our assessor has said about it, I don't have a problem with granting the abatement. So I make a motion to grant the abatement to the property owner at 28 Osprey Cove in the amount of $7,007 plus interest.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'm abstaining,
You're abstaining, okay. All right, motion passes.
And that's probably good. We're both residents in the same neighborhood.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then let me just pass around the abatement form. Those that recused or abstained don't sign.
I wish I hadn't bought my new appliances now, I could have them come in and bake them on my old appliances. So easy.
I don't think you're assessed at like $1.7 million.
Could be if I paid, bought a house that big.
No, it's a large house, but he was surprised at the interior conditions.
Oh, name of the game.
Okay. Moving right along to the 300th anniversary logo, Mr. West.
Chip has seen it, he may have looked at it over the hall. but
Everyone
that's-
has a copy.
Oh, that's big. Oh, it's nice. It's all fat, doesn't it? This is the logo that was selected by the judges and the committee. We had a meeting last Monday, and we had a fellow locally who does embroidery, and we had a fellow who does silk screening come in and talk to us about the feasibility of putting it on clothing so that we can sell t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and other assorted paraphernalia to raise money to help pay for the celebration.
Yeah.
So there may well be some modifications. That design is a little too busy to fit as is on embroidery. It's okay on silk screening, but the embroidery won't quite hack it. So we're, Dean, and I cannot pronounce his last name. Yeah.
Pat Noidus?
Yes, he is the one who designed it. He's a Greenland resident, and he said that he would work with us to try and get it down, eliminate some of the grass and some of the things that just aren't going to be able to be embroidered.
I don't know, it kind of grows on you.
That's what I said.
Does it?
Something Karen and I have going.
So that is basically where that is. I did speak with Karen earlier tonight to find out the proper procedure for handling any monies that come in, and we agreed that it would be best to have it go through the town treasurer, and they kept accordingly.
Yeah, the Board of Selectmen will accept donations, and it will specifically be for the 300. It'll be kept designated on a line item, audited separately, and the expenses will be coming out of that warrant article.
Okay. Any other questions, or?
Just express our appreciation to Dean Katiniosis. Is that how you pronounce his last name?
You say so.
A letter sent to him?
For the effort he put into this. Appreciate it.
Well, this might be a nice opportunity to get one of those certificates that we talked about.
Absolutely.
And have this picture in the paper.
Picture in the paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the website with the logo so that we can get a little.
Pre-publicity on our celebration.
Yep.
I will call Marissa Novello.
All right, great.
Okay, if we're done with that particular issue, we start on new business.
We have one addition to new business that is approval of a bond release. This is for March Farm Way. Office has recommended that we hold $7,000 as a bond. We are currently holding one bond of $202,384, which is the one that the developer has requested be released. We're also holding cash landscape bond in the amount of $5,600 and a soil and erosion control bond in the amount of $40,000. Altus is recommending we hold 7. We'll be holding actually $45,600. And so this would just release his $202,000 surety bond.
For those who don't know, March Farm Way is Tractor Supply.
Yep, Tractor Supply, the coffee thing.
Is there anything else that can be built on that segment?
No, the back lot was subdivided off.
That would have to come before planning again anyway.
Right, there is a lot back there, but it's a separate.
They're owned by the same folks.
Yes.
Okay, if there are no other questions, can we have a motion?
Move to release the bond in the amount of $202,384. The town will hold the remaining 2 bonds, total amount of $45,600, until all outstanding items are completed and approved by Altus Engineering.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I signed the bond release. Okay. And I think at this point, for anyone who would like to make any particular reports of their work as liaison with various departments in town, bring anything up to date.
Sorry, this was suggested, it wasn't supposed to be liaison, but we should do this as well, I think. This was for department heads. I was wondering why some did and some didn't. Building inspector, administrator, sometimes police chief does, and I was wondering if we could get one from maintenance, fire chief,
Okay,
just,
that's not a bad idea. We'll do that.
No,
try to get everybody,
no,
pull, the more information we all have, the better we can all work together, I believe,
Agreed,
so.
yeah.
And as far as liaison reports, I mean, as needed, we kind of touch on it.
Okay,
I don't know if we need a written report, but we can bring it up. That
Okay.
was just a thought, but that was,
that's not a bad thought at all, so I know I will work with mine to get that written report for us.
Yeah,
yeah.
and all.
Do you want monthly from the other department heads? Currently, the building inspector and the police chief do monthly.
I would say at least monthly, that's,
Minimum of
I'd say at least monthly.
Yeah,
And frankly, what I'm looking for is similar to what you do, which is just kind of a diary of the things you're working on.
exactly.
Mhm.
That gives everybody.
Just a short little paragraph.
Right. And they get it, so they know what
what's been
mine
done, What
says.
needs to be done, what's going on.
Yeah,
Yeah, and frankly, the other thing I would mention is anything predicting problems that are about to happen.
right.
Right, what needs to be,
Things, in the next month, we need to be considering whatever.
right, and gives us a chance to go back and say, okay, what happened here?
And usually
This
asking,
worked, this didn't.
Yeah,
asking questions to the administrator, we have money for that, so.
Right.
Okay.
I have a question as far as the new police officer that's being hired, have we heard that that's going to?
I haven't.
the what?
The new police officer, has that been finalized? I know they were interviewing and.
I believe it has been finalized, yes. But I'll be checking with Tara on that. I haven't had a chance, usually I sit down with her a couple of times during the month and I haven't had a chance to do it, but I will. But I do have, I would like to make mention of the fact that we did not get the grant for the O2 packs,
I know.
right, which is a shame, it's $150,000.
Yeah.
It's a tough grant to get, it really is.
Right, it's very competitive, and the first round of no's came out last week, and we were in the very first round. I know two other departments that have applied for, one is basically almost the same exact grant for air packs, and they didn't get a no. And then my son-in-law, his department, he didn't get a no yet either, so I'm like,
Right.
we'll keep trying.
But I think they put out something like a little over $2 billion, and
Right,
they
they put out a lot, I think part of it,
10,000
yeah,
people that applied for it, so.
right, part of what I think what may have hurt us on it is that we got that very same grant back several years ago and bought the air packs that we have with it. So and we also had a warrant article at the same time to fund it just in case. So I really couldn't show a strong financial need. So,
Okay.
because it really wasn't there.
I can also mention, with regard to searching for a new police officer, that statewide, all police agencies are having a very, very difficult time finding both either qualified candidates or people who are interested in taking the position. I can tell you, Fish and Game is going to have 3 retirements in the next month, which will put us 10 positions down on a 37-person department. We'll have 27 people to handle the entire state.
Wow.
And it is very, very difficult to recruit people into police service today. For many reasons. So what I think we can expect is, as we achieve normal attrition in the police department, it will get more and more difficult and more expensive to keep qualified officers on the force. And that's the same thing with the fire service. Yes.
And I hear that from my colleagues around the state, smaller towns. And Friday, the Ways and Means Committee heard a day of presentations from various economic experts who have said that the unemployment rate is so low in this state that we'll be struggling even with economic growth, because the unemployment rate is so low.
Mhm.
So we're in a very interesting situation in New Hampshire that compounds this issue with finding professionals.
Yeah, and I will tell you that in the planning board, we are discussing some of these issues because we know that housing is a very difficult problem, to solve here.
And as a further liaison report for the police department, we have 2 races in Greenland that are coming up. The 1/2 marathon that starts at Target is next weekend. And we'll have 5 officers working traffic control. Paul will be making sure we have all the cones and barricades we need. And then the Maloney race will be on the last Sunday in April. And will be set up just like last year. So they've got that under control. They're giving, the police department has been giving extra attention to certain roads due to speeding complaints. I don't know if I should mention them or not. Hey, why not? Winnicott, Portsmouth Ave, near Crasco. Newington Road and Post Road. They'll begin putting out the speed trailer in May, which is typical for this time.
Usuals.
Yeah.
Just trying to get them under 50.
Is there a normal posting on Facebook or whatever we use, the town website, of when these road races are and what streets are going to be impacted and what time? And if so,
We can make sure it is. The races are posted, but I don't know that it specifically talks about times and road closures.
I know last year that 400-person motorcycle thing irritated me to no end.
Right, we weren't aware of that at all.
No,
That
I
wasn't
wasn't
even a
aware
road
of that.
race.
But our police were out there directing traffic,
That's
so
right.
somebody
Right.
was made aware of it.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish I had been.
I had a talk with Carr about that. See, that won't happen again.
Okay, well, good.
I'm not saying a motorcade wouldn't happen again, but we'll be alerted
Yeah.
in advance.
Yeah, just a public information release, yeah. Okay, does anyone else have any other liaison information they'd like to pass along? The only thing I'd like to say, I did speak with Paul this week, and we know that we have to work with you on the snowplow contract.
Okay, good, yeah, I talked to him about that.
Yeah, and so,
That's probably the reason I didn't bring it up tonight.
that's fine, I'm just saying, I think if the 3 of us sit down, we'll be
Yes.
able to make progress.
Absolutely.
One thing, Karen, on the 300th, I tried to count the lamp post the other night. It was kind of dark, but I think I counted 13. Is that how many we have?
I don't think we
I'll
have that
count them in
many.
the daylight, I honestly don't know.
Well, you're gonna get banners
Flags.
for
Well,
them?
we're gonna get the banners. yeah.
Excellent. Great.
But, I need to know how many there
Yeah,
are.
I'll email you tomorrow, I'll count them in the
Okay.
daylight.
All right.
I used to know, but I've forgotten.
And
I was surprised there were that many, to be perfectly honest.
Life is full of surprises.
I did. Can I quote you on that?
Okay, if we're done with that, is it time to move along to the manifests?
I think so.
Okay,
I'd like to make a motion, we approve payroll number 07A, dated April 5th, 2018, in the amount excluding payroll liabilities of $3,545.65.
Second.
motion made and seconded, all in favor?
All right.
Who has the next?
Make a motion, we approve manifest number 8, dated April 19, 2018, in the amount of $55,267.99.
Motion made, second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I think that leaves just the general one.
Hereby move that we approve the attached manifest unpaid bills detailed as of April 19, 2018, in the amount of $381,961.20. A total of $225,000 is included as the Greenwood School District partial payment.
And second,
Second.
I do have one question, which is why I didn't sign it. There's a bill in there for Howard Fairfield for snowplow blades.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure that at the end of the season, it was a great thing for us to be spending $1,800 for replacement snowshoe blades. You know, is this the time of the year? We don't know if we're going to have him as a contractor next year. You know, why are we putting $1,800 into snowplow parts right now?
For who?
It is in the contract, it doesn't state right now, but so we'd have to go back and look at, does he do it at the end of every year, because it is in the contract.
Okay.
So when it's done, I don't know, but that's a good question.
Last year's bill was 8,000. There's lots of them.
When about was it, any idea?
It's right there. I thought.
No, the
year.
last year's,
Yeah, I mean, it's in the contract to do it, but I
Right.
assume annually, and you do it at the beginning of the season or the end of the season.
right.
Do it
And
at the
I
end of the
left
season
that
and you're ready
folder
for the
in
next,
Liz's office to put away.
for the next year.
Okay, so I raise it as a question under our contract,
Okay.
and that's the only question I have.
Right, and what we can do, why don't we'll mark that as inventory, and just maybe have them, make sure they're not installed on anything until we see who the contract goes to.
That'd be appropriate. I mean, we'll need them for someone, I suppose. And maybe for, I don't know. But it just seemed to me,
They may not necessarily be universal, but
right.
Yeah, they may not be. I
not
don't
all of
think they
them,
are.
some may be, but some probably not.
But if we mark it as inventory, at least it's clear they're town property right now.
Mhm.
And possibly returnable.
Yes.
Yeah. Or resellable.
But Jess is right, it is in the contract.
Okay. With that clarification, then I would remove any question, and all those in favor of the manifest as moved, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And I'll sign it for that. Okay.
And just for knowledge on the rest of you, as a liaison report, Jim has approved my vacation, 2 weeks of vacation. 1 week will be taken next week, going to Myrtle Beach with my family for our 40th wedding anniversary. And then my daughter gave us 2 tickets on Aer Lingus, so in August for a week, we're going to the Isle of Man, just off the coast of the UK.
Lucky you, I'm envious.
Yeah, it's a big motorcycle race
I
place,
just
and my
think-
husband's like super excited about
Yeah,
that. I just will chill.
That's the island of King Arthur.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
I see, I know nothing about it, but it
Was
was,
I was gonna say, the race is gonna be there, going.
no, we're going the week before the race. Because you can't get housing before then. There's no hotel rooms, but she got tickets for free from, through her job, so she passed them along to us, and they had to be used by the end of August, so.
That's also the home of the Manx cat.
Yes, I've seen that, it's like Manx stuff, but yeah.
Okay.
That's my 2 weeks vacation this year.
If nothing else appearing, motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at
17.
8:17.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Carol.
All right.
We are getting a lot done at a pretty quick pace.
Try it.
I've been here so long, I gotta go home and go to sleep.
You've only been here an hour and 15